Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Johns Hopkins School of Education Mind, Brain, and Teaching virtual webinar. My name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also presenting today, we have two faculty members, Dr. Marielle Hardman and Dr. Ranjini Johnbull. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. Also, please take a second to see if your mic is on mute and video is off right now. Please have your mic on mute and video off at all times during the presentation. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please type your question in the chat box and we will read and answer your questions. I would like to share the agenda for today's presentation. We will kick off the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. I'll introduce the two faculty members of the Mind, Brain, and Teaching program, and then Dr. Hardman and Dr. Johnbull will go over details of the Mind, Brain, and Teaching program. And lastly, I will wrap it up with admissions requirements and leave the floor open for questions at the end. And to start, we are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our own school in 2007. We offer 27 graduate programs, which includes doctoral, master's, and grad certificate programs. And we are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. And for school enrollment, we have approximately 2,364 students, approximately 108 full-time faculty members, and a strong network of 23,000 alums at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. And to introduce our faculty members, first, Dr. Marielle Hardman. Dr. Hardman is a professor and director of the Johns Hopkins Neuroeducation Initiative. She's also the faculty lead for the Graduate Certificate in Mind, Brain, and Teaching program. She joined BHE faculty in 2006. Her research and publications focus on enhancing educational practices through techniques that foster innovation and creative problem solving. She presents nationally and internationally on topics related to the intersection of research in the learning sciences with effective teaching strategies, including meaningful integration of the arts. And next, Dr. Ranjini Johnbull. Dr. Johnbull is an assistant professor of the Mind, Brain, and Teaching program and also the Doctor of Education program. She joined faculty in 2014 after a postdoctoral fellowship. She received her PhD from the University of Virginia, and her research focus is on teacher efficacy, cultural competence, social context of belief change, neuroeducation, professional development, and arts integration methods. All right, so at this time, I will hand the floor over to Dr. Hardman and Dr. Johnbull.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you can see me here in this little box, you probably see a beach behind me. I wish I were at the beach now, but I'm not, but I love this background. It makes me happy. So I'm also happy to be here with those of you who are interested in our program. So let's get started with the next slide. This question is often asked us in this program: why pursue MBT education, mind, brain, and teaching? What is it about this that is important? And there are a lot of answers. So let's start and look at them. So the first is that many people are educators that really want to advance their practice, and knowing more about the science of learning and how the mind, brain, and body work together in terms of learning, attention, memory, creative problem solving, does make their practice richer and advances them as professionals. Others want to become leaders in the field and This is a growing field of neuroeducation. It's one that, is unique. Hopkins was one of the first programs that exists that takes this research from neuroeducation and makes it accessible to educators. And so we're very proud of that tradition that started first face-to-face and then fully online 12 years ago. And we've been going strong since then. We have people who are interested in policy, and it's one of the things that you'll find through the program, the application of this work that you'll be learning if you come on board with us. There's so much going on in educational policy that does not support educational practice. And an example that I'm working on right now is the idea of creative problem solvers and innovators. That's what we want our children to become. And yet so many practices and policies that have to do with high stakes assessment actually mitigate that goal. And so we need people who understand how the brain thinks and learns, and then crafts policies around how we can really have children, A, acquire information, and B, be able to apply it creatively. A lot of educational consultants do come into our program, and some of our students who may be in the teaching profession then go on to become educational consultants because they're equipped with a body of knowledge now that is not typically taught in educator preparation programs. And finally, some people are just lifelong learners and, have master's and doctorate degrees already, but are very interested in this content. So now let's look and see who these folks are. In the next slide, pre-K through college educators and counselors and school leaders, so people who are actually in the field doing the work, people who are academic coaches, people who are, providing related services to students, and, principals, assistant principals. More and more people from higher education are also coming into this program. And again, as I mentioned, some already have doctorates, but they're interested in the content to enhance what they offer to their students in their higher education institutions. Organizational leaders are coming more and more from industry, particularly people who are corporate trainers, looking to use this knowledge to enhance their corporate training protocols. As I mentioned, educational consultants, parents, with COVID, parents have had to take a greater role in educating their children. And, that started when many students were at home and the parents were kind of the child's main teacher. But parents have maintained an interest in this content and have come in more ways into our program. The program is really good for face-to-face education, and those of you who do teach fully online will find that many of our graduates do teach online, whether they're in higher education or K-12 institutions. So it's applicable to both. So now we'll look at the description of the certificate. And good. Okay, so the certificate is 15 graduate courses, 15 credits. And, the next bullets talk a little bit about what we do. We look at research from the learning sciences and what research has the potential to inform what you do in the field of education or beyond. And we integrate disciplines that span from cognitive neuroscience to experimental psychology to human development and learning. And that moves us into the next bullet, neuroscience, neurology. We integrate all of these disciplines, and that forms what we call the body of work that is neuroeducation. But it's not that you're receiving this. What we do is in every course you take, you're going to consider how it applies and informs your own practice. It's fully online, and the program is asynchronous. Time frame is 5 semesters, which is 2 academic years and 1 summer. And the cohort is offered in sequential order. So you would be coming in and joining a cohort that you would remain with through those 5 semesters. And as you'll see in a few minutes from Dr. John Bull, we also have an option to take the entire 15 credits in 3 semesters. So that, in that sense, you're in 2 courses in the fall, 2 spring, and then the final course in the summer. That's become more popular with students, and especially those who are pursuing a master's degree and combining the certificate with a master's that you'll hear about in a minute. So I want to talk to you about brain-targeted teaching for a moment, because that's the work that I started. So with the next slide, you'll see that the very first course teaches you about an instructional framework, the brain-targeted teaching model. And that model has been applied to any organizational context. I have done seminars and workshops for industry corporations, as well as higher ed. In fact, I will tell you that this coming Friday, I will be doing a seminar in brain-targeted teaching for Johns Hopkins University professors. So I think the ability to use this model in a variety of ways has been its strength, because it does translate to various contexts. And so the last, and by the way, the brain-targeted teaching model, while you learn it in the first course, the tenets of that model, and you can see there the emotional climate and the physical environment and learning design, master, teaching for mastery and application and evaluating learning. Those tenets are mapped to research from the learning sciences and do thread through courses in the entire program. So now I'll end with just showing you what you will be getting in the next slide. There are 2 books and a third on the way, hopefully. So if we can see pull up the next slide. Thank you. The center book is the one that is the text right now for the first course, Explorations in Mind, Brain, and Teaching. This all started, the model started with the first book, Connecting Brain Research with Effective Teaching, that was written in 2003 and then updated in 2012, and then will be updated again. And that last picture shows me on the playground, because my background is in K-12 education. I spent 30 years in Baltimore City schools as a teacher, department chair, assistant principal, and principal. And there I am as principal out on the playground with my children. The model started in a school with teachers wanting to know more and more about learning, and also putting together a cohesive model instruction that really became the foundation for a school that had a unified theory of learning and a unified language of instruction. That website, braintargetedteaching.org, is available, and there are a lot of free resources and videos on that. So I'll give you a little bit more about my work. And now I'll turn this over to Dr. John Bull to talk to you about the curriculum structure.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Hardiman. And thank you, Sion, for facilitating this. It's so lovely to have you all on this session, and we're eager to hear more from you all too as time goes on. A little bit about our course structure. Traditionally, we offer this in over the course of 5 semesters. It's a 5-course sequence for the graduate certificate, and it begins with explorations in mind, brain, and teaching, which provides an overview of the learning sciences where you learn some information about brain structure and function, some misconceptions about learning in the brain, and what's true, what's not true out there in terms of myths. And we provide you with a menu of instructional strategies that are informed by the learning sciences literature through Dr. Hardiman's brain targeted teaching model. And I just want to say that this model and this framework is not a prescribed curriculum. It really utilizes the resources that you bring to the practice as practitioners and builds upon your knowledge and enhances that so that you can leverage your knowledge in the appropriate adapted way to your context. It's not a prescribed curriculum, it's a framework for helping you enhance your practice. In the second course in the spring, it's Fundamentals of Cognitive Development, where there's a focus on typical developmental trajectories and the psychological theories of human development, and it covers the lifespan. Then in the summer, you go into neurobiology of learning differences, and the focus here is on the spectrum of neurodiversity and the teaching and learning implications of development and different aspects of neurodiversity through an embodied cognition framework. So and it brings in a lot of different components that are not addressed in the Fundamentals of Cognitive Development, where we're talking about typical developmental trajectories and what we think of as typical behaviors. Then it's followed by, in the fall, Cognitive Processes of Literacy and Numeracy. There we focus on the learning sciences associated with the literature of those 2 major areas of learning that are assessed in the K-12 settings. And we're focused on literacy and numeracy skills and cognitive processes because those are skills and processes that are integrated throughout our lives in every context for a successful, happy, healthy life. Finally, in the spring of the second year, we do special topics in brain science, where we focus on emotions, memory, and attention. And in this course, we survey a number of different fields that are explored just briefly in earlier courses. But in this course, we want you to see some of the other areas a little bit more deeply from the learning sciences that are also applicable to teaching and learning professions in the K-16 and beyond, the whole lifespan context. So in Plan A, in this option A, you would take 1 course per semester at a time over the course of 2 academic years with 1 summer in between. All right, on the next slide, you'll see that we have, in this past year, we've just added 1 new cohort, the new 2022 spring cohort. So this still follows the option A traditional structure, but we put explorations in the spring, Fundamentals of Cognitive Development this summer. They'll be taking neurobio of learning differences in the fall, spring, and then they'll finish next summer. If we have enough folks who are interested in matriculating in this spring, we may also open up a spring 2023 cohort. That said, we still have room in our fall cohort, so we would encourage you to get your materials in now to join the fall cohort. All right, now we also have an accelerated option. On the next slide, you'll see the curriculum structure for option B. So we created this curriculum structure in response to the desire from our students from our previous cohorts to take this accelerated path for our certificate. This allows for our students to apply for financial aid and federal student loans, which I believe my colleague Sion will share more about later. But it offers a quicker opportunity to get all of the content within 1 year's time frame. And it also pairs nicely with folks who are interested in combining our certificate with another certificate to pursue a master's in interdisciplinary studies, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. All right, so what you see here is 2 of the first 2 courses in the fall, the second 2 courses in the spring, and then that final course, Special Topics in Brain Science, in the summer. All right, so our online curriculum delivery, like Dr. Hardiman said, is asynchronous because we accept and serve students from around the globe. It is always fun and interesting to get to do some sessions synchronously that are optional, and find people zooming in at all different times and hours of the day, because we do have a global reach for this program. But those are optional sessions. They're always recorded and they're always uploaded. So if you are from an international location and not in the States, please do know that the program is fully asynchronous, and that you can engage with your colleagues asynchronously and develop those relationships with your peers and with the faculty asynchronously. And we also offer some optional synchronous sessions together as well. What we do to facilitate our adult learning experiences in this program is we offer video lectures, interactive activities, discussions on discussion boards and through Flipgrid, and we have both individual projects and group projects, papers. We also utilize some other tech tools like Padlet, and of course, you're on Zoom here with us here. And we continue to grow in our integration of new tech tools to facilitate the learning experiences. All right. The outcomes of an MBT graduate certificate or degree are, we kind of put them in two different buckets. One, that you become research translators in professional practice, that through our courses, you're going to gain skills and insights that help you to digest research literature throughout our courses, and be able to pick those pieces apart so that you can translate that information into your context and help your colleagues learn from you as you're learning about how to apply this to your practice. We also design many learning experiences where you get to choose your content that's most relevant to you, so you deeply root yourself in bodies of literature that are relevant to your practice. We believe that choice is very important for student development and adult development in making sure that learning is meaningful and relevant. And throughout the courses, you produce projects and papers that are immediately informed by research into practice, and that you can take directly into your practice and use right then and there. We find that our students find this very valuable to be developing products that they can use for their current professional practice contexts. Also, we think of you as neuroeducators once you leave us, that you'll have gained this essential knowledge concerning this nexus between the mind, brain, and teaching research, and that you'll have these tools and products ready for implementation. And we find that people leaving our programs tend to be identified as the point people for knowledge from the learning sciences after you leave us, and even while you're with us. All right, so on the next slide, you'll hear a little bit about what our students have to say about the MBT program. And these are just a few quotes from our alumni who've graduated from our certificate. I'll let you read those here. And I'll also read this, read the center one. This student said, "This program has truly been the perfect marriage of my love for science and my love of teaching. I've learned to be more scientifically literate through this program by being given the tools to analyze and understand human learning and development." And I think that's something that we all can utilize more in all of our professional practices, because no matter what we're doing, we're interacting with humans, and better understanding one another helps us better operate in life, in society, in work, in our families, etc. All right, on the next slide, you will see that you can combine two certificates with each other to create a Master's of Science. So one of our unique options at Johns Hopkins School of Education is that the Master of Science Education program allows you to choose two different certificates. Like, you could choose our MBT and any of these certificates on this list that you see here to design a more tailored master's degree to your professional goals. And I want to say that this option is not a common option at most schools of education. Instead, you have to take one learning specialization only, like a master's degree in only gifted or a master's degree in only school leadership or administration and supervision. But here you can specialize in 2 different concentrations and come out with more tools for your bag, for your professional context. I think this is an extremely unique and wonderful feature about the School of Education and our programs. And the Mind, Brain, and Teaching certificate pairs very nicely with all of these different areas of teaching and learning and educational practice. All right, and the next slide, I think I hand it back over to you, right, Sian?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hardman and Dr. John Bull. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. So first, applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on the school's website. And please keep in mind, there is a $80 application fee when you submit your application. We'll need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Next, you'll need a personal statement. And in addition to a personal statement, you'll need a scholarly writing sample. And this is a paper that was written for prior coursework. And if you do not have an appropriate sample of scholarly writing to submit, as an alternative, you may instead write a brief essay. Please visit the school's website for information on the alternative writing sample. You'll need an updated resume that highlights any academic, professional, research, or leadership experience. And finally, 2 letters of recommendation. The GRE is not required for this program, and the Mind Brain Teaching program is currently accepting applications for the fall 2022 start term. And if you're an international student, there are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process. You must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score. And if your degree was completed outside of the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on the school's website. Here on this slide, you'll see the 2022-2023 tuition and fees. The tuition for the online course is $972, and there is a $20 per credit technology fee. So the total cost for one course that is 3 credits, $2,976. And please note, additional fees apply and are charged separately from tuition. We encourage you to view our tuition and fees page on the school's website for the most up-to-date information. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid for this program, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. And we do offer a limited number of partial need-based institutional scholarships each year that range from $500 to $1,500 per semester and are applied to tuition expenses beginning in the fall semester. And to see if you qualify to apply for the endowed scholarship, please visit the grants and scholarship page on the school's website. All right, so thank you for attending the Mind, Brain, and Teaching program presentation. At this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions.
While you're thinking of questions, one of the questions that we do regularly get is whether or not any of these courses are considered biology or physiology courses. And I'll just come out the gate and say that while you will learn information from the biological sciences and learn about some physiology content, these courses are not considered biology or physiology courses. They are education courses that integrate content from biology, physiology, educational psychology, experimental psychology, public health, and focus on the application of that knowledge into your professional practice. So don't be scared about science courses. We'll give you what you need to know. All right. Here's some more questions.
Yeah, the doctoral program. Maybe I'll start and Ranji, you can jump in.
Sure thing.
So this, the courses in our EDD program are similar. They have the same titles and follow essentially the same content as the certificate. They, however, have been engineered to be part of a doctoral program. So in some cases, the readings might differ. The assignments will differ. The approach to how they show mastery will differ. It's based on a problem of practice, and the students are researching that problem of practice, and those courses do thread through identifying the problem of practice and then coming up with an intervention. In the certificate, the courses, while they do relate, don't necessarily rely on moving through to a dissertation. Before I turn this over to Ranji, about that program, I'd like to address the second program. How many professors are teaching in this certificate program? Interestingly enough, probably more than any other of the programs at Hopkins. We do bring in adjuncts when we need to, but there have been 4 professors, actually 5, who teach the different courses. Some of them teach across the program, the doctoral program and the certificate. Some stay with the certificate and some are more with the doctorate. So that changes all the time because personnel change. But this is a program where you will hear from professors. So Dr. John Bull, do you want to talk a little bit more about the doctoral program?
Sure. Yeah, let's see, how you said, how do the doctoral programs incorporate this information? The doctoral students gain the same knowledge as you would get in the certificate, but we like to say, like, put on steroids, because we expect them to be doing more readings, and both Dr. Hardiman and I have designed courses both for the doctoral program and for the certificate, and everything that we've provided for the doctoral students, we provide in optional readings for the graduate students in the master's programs as well, so that you don't feel like you haven't had access to the same content in the similar courses. Right now, as it is currently designed, certificate students that go through the graduate certificate in mind brain and teaching are not allowed to apply to that specialization in the doctoral program, but that's going to be changing very soon. So stay tuned if you wanted to get your MBT certificate and then go on to the MBT area of interest in the doctoral program. That will be available in the next, if not the next cohort, then the following cohort for 2024. We have many students from the graduate certificate in mind, brain, and teaching that go on to the doctoral program, and then they choose to specialize or focus on entrepreneurial leadership or online teaching and learning, or urban education, and really enhance their program with their knowledge from their certificate in the doctoral program. We see that our students from this MBT program, they utilize their knowledge and understanding and integrate it with their other specialization courses and knowledge, especially when they're designing their dissertation research projects. Let's see, comparison. Okay. And like what Dr. Hardiman said, I just echo everything that she said about the assignments. They're geared for a different purpose. Our projects and assignments are geared toward supporting you in your professional practice and enhancing your professional practice and your professional growth. The doctoral program assignments are generally geared toward enhancing doctoral students' knowledge of research to build up their dissertation or doctoral research projects throughout the courses, and honing their knowledge and literature resources and literature base to be able to produce a strong, high quality doctoral research project. Dr. Hardiman already addressed how many professors we have. Sion, I'm going to let you address the deadline to submit documents.
Mm.
for the fall.
And this is for fall 2022. So for the application deadline date for fall 2022, excuse me, is August 15. So I would say please submit your application and all supporting materials by August 15 for fall 2022.
Thank you.
So I'll jump in there. Margaret has asked about how many applications we get and then how many students are in the cohort. That really varies by year. In fall of 21, we had about 60 to 70 applications and accepted about 45 students. So low 20s, the class size was low 20s. We started a third cohort in 22. And in that spring cohort, it's the first year we did that cohort. That was 10 in that cohort. So a lot smaller, but the first year of it. This fall, it's a little lighter, probably because we have opened up the third cohort. So we try to keep our classes somewhere between 15 to 20 students. And if it goes over that, we create another section. We don't, especially for the first class. So you're not in a class of 50 students online. It's we try to keep it, much lower than that. So this year we're shooting for about 15 in each class so that we can give you the individual assistance and you feel that connection with the instructor. One thing I will tell you is that our students, and this is kind of a divergent for a minute, but it does build on something that Dr. Jumble said earlier. We frequently get emails from former students who are using our work still. I mean, just today, I got an email from someone who was a 2017 graduate from the certificate, and that student has been using our work and has been teaching the BTT model, brain targeted teaching model in his school, and is starting to write curriculum using brain targeted teaching, and so wants to collaborate with us in that endeavor. So we do workshops for some of our former students who have been in our program, but the rest of the school doesn't know the program. So, sometimes we do professional development workshops for, the administrators or the others in the school. So our students do keep in touch. And I will say that the very first cohort online was in 2010, and I am still in touch with many of those students. So we like keeping our neuroeducators involved with us, not only with our work, but with our research as well. Okay. I think did we answer everything? Info session, okay. Sion answered that.
Sion, can you address Mecca Nelson's question about military tuition funding?
Yes, we do. You would have to look into our Veterans Affairs, and I can send that information, additional information regards to military tuition funding. And while we wait for questions, and actually I got 2 direct messages. The one is, what can I expect from the online classes? Do the online classes include only reading and writing assignments, or is there an interaction with the instructor?
Yep. Well, we can both answer that. I think in Dr. Jumbold's one of her slides, she does talk about the fact that there are videos, there are readings, there are course discussions so that students are interacting as a team and there are team assignments. So the assignments you're doing collaboratively with others. And then there are individual assignments. Discussions are both team and full class discussions, and they're very rich. And especially, as Dr. Jumbo mentioned, students are from all over the world. So, and from many different walks of life and different roles, either in education or industry. So sharing of ideas has been really rich. We also have synchronous sessions that Dr. Jumbo mentioned, and then individual sessions. We're always available, and especially with assignments, when someone might be trying to think about a topic for an assignment and they just want to brainstorm on Zoom with one of us, we're always available for that. It is very rich. I know some online programs, all you do is read and write, but that's not the case here at Johns Hopkins.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jumbo and Dr. Hardman. I noticed that we had some couple students who hopped on a little later on. And another frequently asked question we get is, if I'm doing the online certificate, do I have to be online at a certain time and date?
Nope, it's asynchronous.
It is asynchronous, but it is also paced. So we do have sessions, so 1 and 2 week sessions. So there is an expectation that you will complete your activities and discussions and assignments at a particular timeline. So it's not like Coursera in that, there's a freedom or an individual pace for the course, but it is paced so that you can be interacting with your colleagues on content and with the instructor on content on a particular schedule throughout the course in the fall and in the semester. And you via Zoom, you do get to interact with the instructor in those synchronous sessions and your other colleagues through those synchronous sessions as well. Yeah.
So there's a question about neuroscience. We do touch on neuroscience, and many of the readings are going to reference studies that come from neuroscience, fMRI studies, for example. But this is a school of education. And so if you're looking for a degree in the weeds of neuroscience, this is not what you want. This is, again, we make it part of the courses because we want you to be literate in how brain structure and function works. And so that when you are reading some of the studies that have to do with neuroscience research, that you understand what they're talking about when they refer to various brain activities and various structures and functions. But again, if you're looking to have a course just in neuroscience, that's not, we would send you to the School of Medicine for that. I hope that answers that question.
Thanks, Scott, for your comment. We agree. We do.
Completely agree.
We are actively actually integrating this knowledge with our colleagues in the teacher preparation programs at Hopkins as well. So glad you agree. We also agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that we hear so often, not only in our courses, but also when we do professional development, that why am I just learning this information now? Why didn't I learn more about the effects of toxic stress, for example, on brain structure development and behavioral outcomes? Why didn't I learn more about the neuroscience of creativity and how creativity can be taught and measured? So, just along the lines, why didn't I learn more about the attention mechanisms and what will help students attend better? So yeah, we hear that all the time. Why am I only learning this now? It's very interesting. I think the field of neuroeducation is moving along, but more slowly than it needs to be. And I think just one last thing that, Scott, I wanted to bring up is that there are so many competing initiatives within education right now. And the assessment culture, the testing culture, really gets in the way of a lot of that, where, teachers are following curriculum that they have to teach to fidelity, and they can't veer from it. And it is based on benchmark testing that they're held accountable for. And so there's been little room within professional development in schools, to get this information out there. So if it's not taught in teacher preparation programs, it's hard for teachers to get it in a way that isn't just piecemeal conferences or, just whatever they read on their own. Mhm. Yes,
Looks like
we
we-
do need more voices to change our system. Policy.
Let's see, Michelle, you said, do you feel that the MBT certificate program would have more applicable use to an ed professional in the trenches, teacher supervisor, or district admin than the EDD program? So I was, well, because we teach, including me, I teach across the programs. I would not say that like one versus the other at all. I would say we equip you in both programs to be able to take your knowledge and directly put it into practice. The EDD program is designed around an applied dissertation project so that teachers, so that any educational professional who's in the EDD program is taking what they learn and know from the literature and trying to apply that to practice through a focus on a specific problem of practice that they've identified. So what we find from both our certificate and our doctoral students is that as they learn this knowledge through their programs, they are, they continue to be serving as these point people and growing leaders within their practice. It's growing, through the MBT program, neuroeducators in practice, and in the EDD program, it's scholar practitioners, because we're basically equipping you to be consultants for your own professional practices, and helping your colleagues and organizations engage in program improvement through communication with you as you serve and as you develop your own professional identity. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. Okay.
The only thing that I would just add to that is that the EDD program, all doctoral programs are going to be more research focused.
Yeah.
And so if that's what you want to do, then that should be your route. And if you already have a master's degree, you may want to think about moving into the EDD program and not the certificate. On the other hand, if you want the content and you don't have the time or energy to step into a doctoral program, and all of us who have been through it know that it's not a piece of cake, right? I mean, you have to be very, very focused and committed to go all the way from beginning to finishing your dissertation. So, as you would imagine, a doctoral program is going to be more rigorous on the research end. Again, the certificate will give you the content that you need as a professional. So to me, that would be the biggest difference.
Yeah, agreed 100%.
All right, it looks like there are no more questions. Dr. John Bull, Dr. Hardiman, I don't think I missed anything. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think we're good.
All right, so I'm moving on to the next slide, which is the contact us. Here are some very important contact information. Any admissions related questions, feel free to contact the Office of Admissions. Program related questions, we have Dr. Hardiman, Dr. John Bull's email address here, and also Camila Mika Sim. She's a senior academic program coordinator. Thank you for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for the comments and questions. We appreciate it.
And thank you, Dr. John Bull and Dr. Hardiman, for the wonderful, wonderful presentation.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Our pleasure. Bye.